Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kayla and it's time to crack into a good book. So today I'm going to be doing my October mid-month wrap-up. So today I have 10 books to talk about. We'll just go from lowest to highest ranked and we'll just get into it. So the first book I will talk about today is The Dark Days Club by Alison Goodman. So I rated this book 2 stars, 2 out of 5 stars. It was not what I was anticipating. Basically, it was just so slow. I think this is a Regency era paranormal book. It took what felt like a million years to actually get to that part. It was just so slow, and basically like by the time we actually got to these paranormal elements, I was like, I'm just so bored. I should have DNF'd it, but again, I didn't. I thought it was going to get better, and I was disappointed, sadly. And then, of course, like by the time we actually did get to the paranormal element, there was just so much info dumping about like the supernatural world and powers, I guess. So I don't know, it just didn't really work for me. The main character was just okay. It kind of reminded me of the Gardella Vampire Hunter series by, I think it's Colleen Gleason. But I think that one was like much better executed. And I mean, like I read it forever ago, so I could be just like overly enthusiastic about it in my memory. I don't know. Yeah, so I mean, that's like a similar type of story. But this one just like was really boring and slow. I didn't really follow a lot of what was happening because I started skimming the book. I do have a couple of other books by this author, Eon and Singing the Dogstar Blues, I think, and I'm hoping that they'll be better. I'm a little nervous now after reading this book just because, like, it was so slow. So hopefully the others are better, but, you know, we'll see. So then we get into the 3 out of 5 star books. So the first one I'll talk about is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. So this was not as great as I was anticipating, unfortunately. You know, like I do find Jack the Ripper really fascinating and I like appreciated that element in the book, but like overall it wasn't my favorite execution, I guess. Audrey Rose, who's the protagonist, was all right. After her mother's death, she kind of wants to study like forensic science, basically. So like I appreciated that, but like I wasn't really feeling the romance that developed between Audrey Rose and Thomas. But like maybe this improves as the book series progresses, I don't know. I did like the historical components and setting, and like there are little historical tidbits and like photographs at the beginning of some of the chapters, which I thought was really cool. I did guess Jack the Ripper's identity, so that was like a little bit of a bummer. Basically the premise of this book is like Jack the Ripper is murdering people and they're just like investigating and, you know, trying to find Jack. I think my main problem with this book was that like I was just bored in places and I thought that the story was maybe like a little simplistic. Again, wasn't really feeling the romance, so I don't know. I do have the second book, so I mean obviously I'm going to read it. Hopefully I'll like it a little bit better. But you know, we'll see. So yeah, this was an okay read for me. I think some other people like it more, so if this sounds interesting to you, maybe like check out the Goodreads reviews and see what you think. The next book I'll talk about in this 3 out of 5 star range is The Winter People by Jennifer McMahon. So this is like a book that alternates timeline. We alternate between around like 1908 and the present day. As 1908 era timeline, we mostly follow this diary / you know, account of Sarah. I don't want to get into spoilers too much about like what this diary entails, but there's a mystery element to it and some supernatural things that happen. In the present day, we follow Ruthie, who discovers this diary. She lives in the same house as Sarah, and like she reads this diary. Her mom also goes missing, so she's like simultaneously trying to figure out what happened to her mother and like how it maybe connects with the past. There's this question about like there are these creatures called like the sleepers or the winter people that are basically like undead creatures. So a lot of the book deals with like, you know, are these actually real or not? Yeah, so there's some mystery elements to figure out what happened, a bit of horror, and I did enjoy this for the most part, but like it didn't fully pull me in. But I would say for like a 3 out of 5 star rating, like I did enjoy this. I would say check it out, you know, like maybe borrow it from the library if you're interested in it. So the last of the 3 star books that I'll talk about today is Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. So I did just finish this. I was so disappointed. I thought I was going to love it, and you know, I mean, I did enjoy it, but I thought I was going to love it a lot more. So basically, this is the Marriage of Convenience, Enemies to Lovers book that deals with a witch and a witch hunter. So this is kind of set in a world that's very similar to France, and so we have like a lot of French-inspired names and words used throughout here. I don't know, I wasn't really feeling the romance all that much, which was surprising because I thought I would just enjoy it a lot more. I did like the main character for the most part. Like sometimes she did kind of irritate me a little. Basically, the book can be summarized as like, I enjoyed it, but I didn't have like the strongest connection with the characters or the plot. As the book goes on, we learn more about this world and the different types of magic that exist. We learn more about the background of Lou, who's the witch, and Reed, who's the witch hunter. I think the plot was slower than I anticipated. I didn't really have the strongest grasp on some of this magic. Like, it would describe it as like seeing patterns and stuff, and I was like, but what does that really mean? I don't know. So I guess I want to know more, I guess, about how the magic system works. I did think it had several shocking revelations that like I certainly was not anticipating. So that was you know, I appreciated that. So basically this book starts off with like a heist, and then we kind of escalate to the main plot of the story, which is kind of like, you know, witches versus witch hunters. I don't know. It just wasn't as good as I thought it would be. I did really like the friendship that existed between Louise, our main character, and Coco, who is another witch. I thought that was just a nice little touch. I'm undecided if I'm going to continue on in this series. I think if this does interest you, check out Goodreads reviews, just because I know a lot of people did really love this book, so, you know, maybe it's just me, I don't know. Alright, so now we get into the 4-star range. So the first one I'll talk about here is The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. So this was really creepy. This book alternates timelines between like the 1800s and the 1600s, and then there's 3 different timelines. There's 1800s, 1600s, and then sometime later. So basically what happens, I think maybe 2 of the timelines are in the 1800s. It was not clear to me. Basically what happens is this widow moves into the house of her recently deceased husband and finds these creepy wooden companions. So unbeknownst to me, these silent companions actually did exist. They're just like these creepy ass wooden people. I don't know. So this is like actually historically accurate, I guess, in terms of like what that these silent companions did actually exist, which is a little terrifying. I would not want one of those things. Yeah. So then the other, like the most recent, I guess, timeline, we follow this widow later on in an asylum. So the 1600s, we have another sort of like diary reading, I guess. This, I think, is maybe the ancestor of our main character's husband, and she's kind of a witch. In the like middle, I guess, timeline, our main character starts to hear things like this like weird hissing sound, and discovers these companions, and then they kind of just like start popping up everywhere throughout the house, and people are like, I did not put them there, I don't know how they got there. And then other, you know, like bad and creepy things start happening. So like, I don't want to say much more about it because, you know, if you're going to read it, I want you to experience it for yourself. But I will say it was very atmospheric. I definitely like had this feeling of dread while reading it. It was so creepy. Just so creepy. So yeah, I would highly recommend this book. I enjoyed it very much. You know, there's still time in October for you to pick it up and read it. Enjoy it for the season. The next book I'll talk about is The 10,000 Doors of January by Alice E. Harrow. So this was technically a buddy read with Meg at Tome Infinity. So she had set up this whole group, and I don't know, basically what happened is I started reading it and I was like, I just want to keep reading it. So I kind of just, you know, went ahead of schedule. But yeah, so I did enjoy this very much. It was not what I was expecting. So for some reason I thought it took place in England, which, like, no, not at all. I don't know why I had that assumption. Parts of it do take place in New England, so perhaps I was just confusing the two. I don't know. It's kind of like a portal fantasy type book. We try to uncover the mystery of all these doors and find our main character January's father. I really liked January. I thought she was smart, resourceful. She does have a dog, so that was very nice. There's some romance, but it's not like insta-lovey, so that was you know, a nice touch. So basically this book, I mean, obviously we have all these different doors and like portals to various places, but I think ultimately it's kind of about finding yourself and like where you belong. This was really well done. I have heard people saying like it's a little slow for their taste. If you're worried about that, maybe check out some Goodreads reviews and see what people are saying for those reviews, I guess, that aren't as strong. But I would really recommend it. I thought it was excellent. All right, the next book I'll talk about is Friend Request by Laura Marshall. So this is a thriller. Basically what happens is that our main character receives a Facebook friend request from a former high school friend who died during high school. So she's obviously like, what is this? Like, this person died. How am I getting this friend request? And this person, who is supposedly Maria, who is the friend who died, is like sending some pretty threatening messages, you know, like, I know what you did in high school and you're gonna pay for what you did, things like that. So then there's like this high school reunion planned, and our main character is basically like trying to figure out what's going on. Like, did Maria actually not die at all? Or like, who else knows about what happened in high school? And like, I don't want to get into more of the plot just because like part of this book is, you know, slowly figuring out what actually did happen. I did like the main character quite a bit. She is clearly not great as a high schooler, but like, you know, she comes to regret her actions and like becomes a better person, I think, as we follow her in present day. I should mention, this does alternate timelines between like her high school days and the present day. Back in high school, you know, she does kind of fall into the trap of wanting to be popular and fitting in, so she does things that maybe she doesn't want to do just because like she doesn't want to be ostracized. I did guess a couple of the reveals, but like that was kind of, I guess, late in the game. Well, I wish I could have been a little more surprised. Still, guessing it later on in the book is not too bad. I do think this generally kept me on my toes, and I kept like wanting to get back to the book and read and see what happened. There's definitely some content warnings here for bullying and abuse. Some of it gets a little dark for sure. But yeah, so I definitely recommend this. I thought it was a very good thriller. So I just realized I completely forgot to talk about a book, so I'm filming this to insert in. The last book of the 4 out of 5 star range that I'll talk about is Slave to Sensation by Nalini Singh. So this, I did a buddy read with Amber at Books of Amber, and I'll leave her channel link down below. This is a paranormal romance, and basically in this world we have changelings who are like shapeshifters, and the Sai, who are people with like psychic powers, like telekinesis. The premise here is like Lucas, who is an alpha male and a leopard shapeshifter, wants to build homes for the pack. And so he hires Sasha, who is our Sai main character, to sort of like design and build these houses. That's like the very beginning. And then we sort of discover that Sai has been kidnapping, torturing and killing some of these changeling women. It's obviously a paranormal romance, so you know that Lucas and Sasha are going to get together. Throughout this book, we find out more about Sai powers and society, and as well as like the changelings, obviously. The Sai have this program called the Silence, where they've basically taken away all emotions. But Sasha is kind of flawed because she can still experience some emotions and can connect to the changelings. I really like Sasha. I thought she was brave, intelligent. Lucas, I thought, could be a little overbearing at times, but he is like an alpha male. I thought this was really fun. Reading paranormal romance, I can't really take it seriously sometimes. It's just, it can be a little silly. I still really enjoyed it. I would absolutely read more in the series. And yeah, so the book basically is mostly about Lucas and Sasha's romance, and also to track down the Sai who is killing these shapeshifter women, or these changeling women. But yeah, so like, I don't know, it was a really fun read. I would definitely recommend it. So now we get into the 5-star books of the month so far. The first one that I'll talk about is Otherworld Secrets by Kelly Armstrong. So I did just do an author spotlight video, which I'll try to remember to link, for Kelly Armstrong, and I kind of mentioned in there how much I love this Otherworld series. So it's basically like an urban fantasy paranormal romance with all sorts of supernatural creatures like werewolves, vampires, demons, angels, ghosts, necromancers, like a whole slew of supernatural creatures. This is just a short story collection set in this world. Some of the stories were published previously, and I have read them. But I think there were a couple of new ones, and like, to be honest, it's been a hot minute since I read some of these short stories, so I didn't fully remember them anyway, so, you know, like, that was okay. There's generally like heists, investigations, supernatural fight club. I loved it. I would say I think it's better to read the full Otherworld series first because, like, I think it would be kind of hard to pick up the short stories when you don't really know these characters to begin with. This kind of develops the characters a little more, and some of the stories kind of take place after the main series, and like, I don't know, I feel like if you haven't read the main series, you wouldn't really fully connect with these characters or care about like what has happened to them post main series. So yeah, highly recommend the Otherworld series. Again, I'll leave that Kelly Armstrong video linked down below if you want to know more about like the full series. But yes, I really enjoyed it. The final book I'll talk about today is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. So this, I loved it so much. This hooked me basically from the first two sentences, which are, I didn't choose the winch life chose me. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna like this book. So this is an enemies to lovers romance that basically takes place at Renaissance Festival. I read this last week in preparation for going to the Renaissance Festival, which we did yesterday. So, you know, like I read this and I was just super hyped to go to the Renaissance Festival. It was wonderful. Yeah, so our main character, Emily, moves in to help her sister, and like it's kind of in a small town, so you know everybody knows each other already. Emily signs up to volunteer for the Renaissance Festival to basically because her niece wants to do it, and they're like, we need to have an adult volunteer as well. I thought it was really funny. There were some excellent moments. I really connected with the main character. I thought she was fabulous. The story was just like really engaging. I definitely felt the romance. It was, again, very atmospheric for the Renaissance Festival, and made me even more excited to go. Over the course of this book, we see Emily like really grow as a character. She starts off kind of after like a really bad breakup, and over the course of the book, she starts to believe in herself and like her self-worth more and more. I really appreciated that, and she's like is basically just trying to find a path moving forward to figure out like where she really belongs. So I don't know, it was so good. The characters were all great. I think it's kind of like it's not really a sequel, but more of a companion novel, but I think that's supposed to come out next year. And it follows a character in this book, or like one of the secondary characters. So I will definitely be picking this up. If you are interested in enemies to lovers romance at the Renaissance Festival, definitely pick it up. It was great. Those are the 10 books that I will talk about for this mid-month wrap-up. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books or think you might pick them up. I hope you guys are having an excellent day and are reading something awesome. If you liked this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up, as that would certainly help me out. But with that, I think I will wrap it up here and see you in the next one.